Have you ever wondered where the concept of the walking dead, or more popularly known as zombies, originated? It's a question that tickles the mind, doesn't it? These lifeless creatures, often depicted with rotting flesh and a hunger for human brains, have become a symbol of terror in our modern culture. They've infested our screens, from blockbuster movies to addictive video games, and have haunted our nightmares. But where did it all begin? How did this gruesome figure make its way from folklore and superstition to the heart of mainstream media? What is it about these undead beings that captivates and terrifies us so? Is it their relentless pursuit of the living? Or perhaps the chilling thought that we could become one of them? These are the questions we'll attempt to answer, so buckle up and join us as we take a journey back in time to uncover the history of zombies. The concept of zombies is not a new one. It dates back to the 8th century, rooted in the Afro-Caribbean spiritual belief system of voodoo. Our journey begins in the heart of the Caribbean, where the ancient voodoo religion was born. This faith, heavily influenced by African spiritual practices, was brought to the West Indies by enslaved people. Within this belief system, the boundary between life and death is blurred, and the soul can exist separately from the body. In voodoo culture, the soul consists of two parts: the gros bon ange, the big good angel, and the petit bon ange, the little good angel. The gros bon ange is thought to be the life force of the body, while the petit bon ange is the part of the soul that holds an individual's personality, character, and will. An integral part of the voodoo religion is the belief in spirits known as loa. These spirits can interact with the living, influencing their lives in various ways. A powerful voodoo priest, or bokor, can call upon the loa, asking them to reanimate the dead. However, this reanimation is not a resurrection. Instead, it creates a creature devoid of its petit bon ange, a soul enslaved even after death. This creature, controlled by the bokor, is what we now know as a zombie. The idea of a zombie, as presented in voodoo, is quite different from the flesh-eating monsters we see in modern media. These early zombies were more pitiful than terrifying, trapped in an existence that was neither life nor death. They were symbols of fear, not of the undead but of enslavement, reflecting the harsh realities of the people who gave birth to the concept. In a world where the dead could be forced to labor eternally, the greatest horror was not death itself, but the inability to find rest even in the grave. This concept resonated deeply within a culture that had been brutally uprooted and enslaved. Thus, the voodoo culture gave birth to the first concept of a zombie, a soul enslaved even after death. The zombie concept found its way into literature and early cinema, evolving and gaining popularity. This evolution was not an overnight occurrence, but rather a gradual process that took place over decades. As horror fans, we owe a great deal to the early pioneers who first brought these undead beings to life in the pages of their novels and on the silver screens of yesteryears. The first significant appearance of zombies in literature was in William Seabrook's The Magic Island, published in the 1920s. Seabrook, an adventurer and occultist, introduced Western readers to the zombie concept through his experiences in Haiti, where he encountered tales of the living dead. These were not the flesh-eating monsters we are familiar with today, but rather individuals supposedly resurrected and controlled by voodoo priests. The macabre fascination this book ignited in readers played a pivotal role in shaping the zombie archetype. From literature, the zombie concept shuffled its way into early cinema. In 1932, White Zombie, the first full-length zombie film, hit the screens. Again, the setting was Haiti, and the undead were portrayed as mindless slaves under the control of a malevolent master. The film, starring Bela Lugosi, was a commercial success and further fueled the growing zombie fascination. As the years progressed, literature and film continued to shape and refine the zombie concept. The flesh-eating, apocalyptic creatures we know and fear today are a far cry from the mind-controlled victims of Haitian folklore. Yet, the core elements remain the same: the reanimation of the dead and the innate fear this sparks in the living. These early works set the stage for zombies to invade the world of modern cinema. They laid the foundation for the zombie apocalypse genre that has since become a staple in pop culture. And while the genre continues to evolve, it's important to remember and appreciate the early works that started it all. The modern interpretation of zombies as flesh-eating creatures originated in the late 20th century. This was a pivotal shift that redefined the way we perceive these creatures of the undead. The zombie's evolution into a cannibalistic entity can be largely attributed to modern cinema and literature. It was in these realms that the traditional folklore-infused zombie underwent a transformation, shedding its old skin and emerging as a more terrifying manifestation of our deepest fears. A key work that catalyzed this shift was George A. Romero's Night of the Living Dead. Released in 1968, this film not only shattered box office records, but also shattered our perceptions of what a zombie could be. No longer were they the mindless, shambling corpses of old. They were now relentless, flesh-eating monsters, driven by an insatiable hunger for human flesh. Romero's zombies were a stark departure from their predecessors. They were faster, smarter, and more dangerous. Their hunger was insatiable, their desire for human flesh unquenchable. They were not just reanimated corpses, they were predators, hunting their prey with a chilling, single-minded focus. This new interpretation of zombies was not confined to the silver screen. Literature, too, embraced this darker, more gruesome version of the undead. Books like Max Brooks' World War Z and Robert Kirkman's The Walking Dead series further entrenched the image of the flesh-eating zombie in the collective consciousness. The modern zombie was no longer a creature of voodoo and mysticism, it was a creature of science, a product of disease, radiation, or some other man-made disaster. This shift in narrative not only made zombies scarier, but also more plausible, adding a layer of realism that made these stories even more chilling. And so, the modern undead, brain-eating zombie was now a horror genre staple. This terrifying creature, once a mere spectre in the shadows of folklore, had stepped into the limelight and claimed its place in the pantheon of horror. The zombie had evolved, and so too had our nightmares. While zombies dominate Western culture, various forms of undead creatures exist in folklore from around the world. It's a fascinating exploration to delve into how different cultures interpret the concept of life after death. Let's take a journey to the east, where we encounter the jiangshi. This hopping corpse, as it's often referred to, is a staple in Chinese folklore. The jiangshi is not your typical undead creature. It hops around with outstretched arms, drains life energy from the living, and has a peculiar aversion to its own reflection. Now let's cross over to the Slavic regions, where the vampire reigns supreme. Unlike the romanticized versions we see in modern media, these creatures of the night are far from charming. They're reanimated corpses, believed to rise from their graves at night to drink the blood of the living. Their image is one of horror, not allure. Moving on to the Philippines, we find the aswang, a shape-shifting creature that can take on a variety of forms, from a beautiful woman to a monstrous beast. Aswangs are feared for their desire to consume human flesh and organs, especially those of unborn children. In the cold reaches of Scandinavia, we find the draugr. These undead Norse warriors are known for their exceptional strength and their desire to protect the treasures they were buried with in their past life. Lastly, we travel to the Caribbean and we meet the loup-garou, a creature from Grenadian folklore that sheds its skin at night to hunt for blood, much like a vampire. Each of these creatures, though differing in appearance and behavior, shares a common thread of fear and fascination with what lies beyond the veil of death. They embody the universal human fear of death and the unknown, and our innate desire to understand and conquer it. Thus, the concept of the undead is a universal one, interpreted differently across cultures and histories. From spiritual beliefs to a horror genre staple, the journey of zombies through history is as captivating as it is terrifying. We've traced the roots of these unsettling creatures from their inception in Haitian folklore to their haunting portrayal in literature and early films. The modern interpretation of zombies, with its unique twists and turns, has only amplified our fascination for the undead, making them an enduring symbol of horror. The world over, different cultures have their own version of the undead, each as eerie and intriguing as the next. It's a testament to the universal human fascination with life, death, and what might lie beyond. In the end, whether they're shambling corpses or infected humans, zombies represent our deepest fears and darkest imaginations. We hope this journey into the undead has intrigued you as much as it has us. Thank you for joining us at Nerdie Notions. We would love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Until next time, stay safe and stay nerdy.